Hi everyone, I'm Nina Infinity and I want to thank you all today for joining me for my very first video. Let me give you a little background about how I started my YouTube journey. As some of you may know, I'm a member of the Fandom Menace, and I joined this community because, like many others in this community, I hated Disney Star Wars, especially The Last Jedi. I was also one of the people who was incredibly let down by the ending of Game of Thrones, and I remember watching my very first live stream with Nerdrotic and Doomcock the night the finale aired, and I went in there because I was so lost and I so confused about how the show ended, and I guess I wasn't the only one. I wanted to see if I was the only one, and I definitely wasn't. So just like I wasn't alone in that, I wasn't alone in my distaste for that disaster, which is Disney Star Wars and, all the other shows like Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard. And so I finally felt like I found my community, my ilk, and that is the Fandom Menace, and the Fandom Menace has accepted me with open arms, and I'm so happy to have found them. I'd like to start out by giving a special shout out to Anna, that Star Wars girl. She's amazing. She's an inspiration. She's the first person I started following on the Fandom Menace. So if you haven't subbed to her already, which I'm sure you probably have, go for it and sub to her. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Mads Mama Bear, who gave me my first start on her channel and added me to the Queen's Council, which is on Thursdays, along with OG Star Wars, LaReina Creole, Courting Christy, and my nerdy home, Stephanie. And they're all lovely girls. Please subscribe to them as well. And last, but certainly not least, John from John Talks. He's a great dude and everyone in this community knows it. He's helped so many of us, including me, and he helped me by beginning to build my platform on his space and by letting me do a show with him called Infinite Talk, which we do on Mondays, and where we talk about all the relevant stuff that week or what we're passionate about. And sometimes it can go for hours. That's why it's called Infinite Talk, and we love it. I'm also on his channel on Fridays where we talk about entertainment and other kind of entertainment news with Fatal J and Raging Rhino. And without John's help, I wouldn't have reached over 100 subs and I wouldn't be making this video today. So thank you, John. And please also check out his channel. I'll be putting all those guys' channels that I've named here in the description below so that you can go and subscribe. Now, okay. Without further ado, let's get into my first video. For this video, I thought really long and hard about what I should talk about, and I'll be honest, even though I'm part of the Fandom Menace and I love Star Wars, love Star Wars, I feel like talking about Star Wars and the tragedy that is Disney Star Wars, it's been talked to death, and I feel like at this point, it's like, beating a dead horse. So I won't be talking about Star Wars, but I will be talking about another science fiction show, which I think is really, really awesome. Science fiction has been a huge part of my life, and I've read a lot of sci-fi books and especially space operas, and I've watched a lot of science fiction shows. I've read manga and I've watched anime, you name it, science fiction, I've watched it or read it. And, science fiction has shaped me into the person I am today. And it's really sad because, with everything that's going on today, with all the genres, I feel as though science fiction has severely been lacking these days, as is with the new culture war and gender politics and politics in general. It's hard to find a good show that doesn't have these kind of things draped around it, with a few exceptions like The Expanse and Altered Carbon, which are also fantastic shows, and I recommend you guys definitely watch those shows. But there's still a lot of room in this amazing genre to be explored. So as I've said, I'm a sci-fi geek, and so my Netflix recommendations are always filled with all sorts of sci-fi recommendations. And I kept, like, a while ago, I kept seeing this ominous looking show with an ominous looking name called Dark. And I was kind of like really intrigued, but not enough to click on the show because I realized it was a German show. I'm not really big into shows from other countries because admittingly, I don't like to read subtitles. And I know, that's really stupid, but it is what it is. But it kept coming up. It kept coming up on my feed, and with nothing else to watch at the time, I was like, I was desperate for some sci-fi in my life, just desperate. And I was like, all right. I realized that Dark had dubs, so I was like, okay, I'm going to give the show a shot. Okay, fine. I clicked it. And within 10 minutes of the show, I was hooked, just hooked. Let me start by saying that Dark is not for children. Nope, not for children. So put the kiddies to bed before you get into this amazing show. It's co-created by Baran Bo-Odar and Jante Friese. I think I really butchered that guy's name. I'm sorry. Anyways, it begins with an Albert Einstein quote, which for any sci-fi fan makes our interest shoot up immediately. The quote reads, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." It is followed by a monologue of a man saying, "We trust that time is linear, that it proceeds eternally and uniformly into infinity. But the distinction between past, present, and future is nothing but an illusion. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow are not consecutive. They are connected in a never-ending circle. Everything is connected." As he says these words, the camera is showing us images of items and then photos pinned to a wall. Photos of characters you will be introduced to in this series who span 3 generations, played by different actors. The people are connected to each other via a string map showing that they are all connected. This is a complicated show with many characters, and if you go on Wikipedia and other places on the web, there are character maps that help you navigate these characters and their connections. But don't do that, at least not yet. Half the fun of watching this show is realizing who is who in what generation and making those connections for yourself. So I highly recommend to keep the element of surprise. You do not look at spoilers on the internet. The monologue words and pictures, along with Einstein's quote, tell us that this show is about time travel, and it is. I love time travel stories, and in my opinion, this is a show that has just nailed it. It's really hard to make a good time travel story, but I think by God, they've done it. At least so far. Dark has only 2 seasons out, consisting of 18 episodes, which spans about an hour. And the 3rd and final season is set to drop June 27th of this year. It's just a few weeks away, and I'm stoked. I've not been this excited about a show's release since I can't remember when. That's how long it's been. Anyways, back to it. The show begins to introduce us to the lead character Jonas, who lives in the small German town of Winden. In present-day November 2019, he's recently lost his father, who committed suicide under mysterious circumstances. Meanwhile, a teenage boy has gone missing, and police officers Ulrich Nielsen and Charlotte Doppler are charged with finding him. However, Ulrich himself is haunted by his failure to find his own missing brother, Mads Nielsen, who went missing in the same town in 1986. Another important thing to note is that this town contains a nuclear plant that is pretty much one of the main focus points of the show. The plant and the caves running beneath the plant play an important part that I won't get into much because I'm trying to keep this review as spoiler-free as possible. As the first episode goes on, we are introduced to characters like Ulrich's wife Katharina and kids Magnus, Marta, and Nicole, who are also prominent characters in this show. This is a very character-driven show, and it's a slow burn. Each episode focuses on certain characters and how they are connected to one another. As you get to know each character, you grow to love or hate them and become very attached to them and their journey, which I find is really rare nowadays. I don't really want to go any further into the plot of the show. As I said before, it's a complicated show and I don't want to give too much of it away. So you just have to watch it for yourself and find out if you like it. But I wanted to give everyone a heads up about this show because I think that it's a very hidden gem and it deserves recognition. I think that's really rare in today's entertainment, especially shows that are not based on pre-existing material, such as Altered Carbon or The Expanse, which are based on books. This show sets itself apart in that sense, as it is completely original. With its masterful direction and cinematography, overarching and complicated character plots and themes and beautiful music and score, I can say that Dark is easily my top favorite show of the last few years. Only time will tell if it will become one of my favorite shows of all time. With its final season set to drop in just a few weeks, I guess I'll find out. I just pray it's going to have a satisfying ending that ties up all the loose ends. But I'm nervous and but I have faith. I have faith. It's gonna be okay. Anyway, I hope you like this video and my short review of Dark on Netflix. Please subscribe and hit that notification button if you have not done so already, and so you're notified when I inevitably make my next video. And if you're already subscribed, well, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. You guys are just so awesome, and I hope you guys have a fantastic journey watching Dark. Take care. Love you guys. Thank you. And have a great day. Bye.